Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining in. I see some familiar folks. Um, if at any time you want me to unmute you, because I've sort of muted everyone to not, have those random beeps in between, just raise your hand up and I will unmute you and you can talk. Cool. Um, I won't be able to see all of you. So when you do the raise hand thing, you just pop up on top of my screen and then I would be able to do that. Okay. Super. So it's good to see you and I hope we will interact in the chat window. Uh, Most of you are a part of the content collective, so you've heard from me a lot before. But is there anyone here who hasn't attended any of my webinars? Can you let me know in the chat window? Anyone? No, cool. Brilliant. So I'm not going to waste time introducing myself. I just want to give you a heads up that today's session is not about content. Okay. Um, I know this community was built on how to become a highly paid content writer. I'm also very proud to say that a lot of people who worked with me through the years have achieved that as well. But today I'm going to talk about something very different because the world has changed in the last few years, right? Uh, so just a question, and again, you can type your answer in the chat window. It'll be good to know what you are feeling. Have you seen any difference in the kind of work that you were getting? Any changes in client expectations when it comes to content? Um, Anything that you felt is has changed in the last year or so? If you have any observations, please either raise your hand, I'll unmute you, you can talk about it, or type it in the chat window. Either works. And also some video, please, so I can see folks. Anyone? I'm gonna pick now. Sudhakar. Folks who've been a part of the cohort get limelighted. Are you there, Sudhakar? Okay, Lina's shared something on the chat. She's been out of the scene for a while, so not sure, except the talk of AI taking away projects. Okay. Anyone else? Uttara, Pavneet, Sandeep. Clients seem to be okay with AI content now, more receptive than 2 years ago. Yes, that's true. I think there's also been a lot of education because earlier the challenge was that Google, they were not sure whether Google will accept AI content, but now everybody is like, we don't care whether it's AI generated or human generated, has to have some value. Okay, AI's role in content has increased. Pavneet, I was just checking in with folks who've just joined, like who joined in. Though this webinar is not about content, we are of course coming together as a community of content creators. So, any of you, have you seen any difference in how you're getting work? What are the client expectations? Anything that you're thinking or feeling along those lines? Either raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or you can put your thoughts in the chat window. Okay. Content was flooded with AI content, which is also bad quality. Yes. AI hasn't taken away content writing. There's still scope for creativity. Okay. Interesting. There is, like, I mean, of course, I'm still earning my bread butter through content. Um, so there's still scope, but so I keep reading as more thoughts come in. But I'll tell you why I did this session today and what I'm hoping to achieve from it, okay? Um, Many years ago, someone told me that one of the biggest, and the reason why they love working with me or why they bet on me is because I'm able to spot market trends early and I'm able to take corrective action a long time before those trends um, actually affect me. Okay. And it's not my opinion, it's somebody who said it to me. And I have seen it again and again, right? Anytime I want to do something, people are willing to invest on it, people are willing to bet on it, people are willing to work with me on it because somewhere they have a confidence that if I'm saying something, it is somewhere going to land. Okay. So what I've noticed in the last few years, and it's not um like a lot of you are saying, right? Content is not gone yet. Creativity is not gone yet. Yes, people are a lot more accepting of AI. People are using AI in a lot of interesting ways. Um, but there is, and of course, there are both schools of thoughts. Okay. There are reports that say that AI is definitely increasing. The number of jobs that are out there, unemployment is down, things like that. There are reports that say that AI is taking away so many jobs. So there is both sides of the coin exist. Okay. Um, but one thing is very clear, and I've written an article. I'm going to post it sometime this week or next week. I've just finished it yesterday. Um, at some point in time, like one thing is very clear that AI has left no scope for mediocrity. Okay. If you are in a knowledge work kind of a field, if you're a content creator, if you're a designer, I mean, even if you're a doctor, um, you cannot be just average anymore. Okay. The stakes or the benchmark has gone up. Okay. So earlier, when everybody could call themselves a content writer, or by writing Amazon product descriptions, or when anybody could just use Canva very basically and call themselves a designer, those days are sort of gone because AI can do a much better job of those things than humans can. Okay. But yes, because AI content or AI creativity is very generic at the moment, um, you can look at a content piece and say this is AI generated. So there's definitely a lot of scope for making it better, for humanizing it, and all of those. Yeah. But one of the questions I always ask myself is for how long? Okay. Um, in fact, I was reading this article the other day, and um, OpenAI's co-founder, I can't pronounce his name, starts with some, like it's a very complicated name. But but he said, and I've quoted him in my article, which will come out on Substack, and maybe you guys can read it. He said that AI can do whatever the humans are doing better than us. Okay. So my article talks about, the whole empathy, storytelling, strategy, all those stories that we are telling ourselves will also become AI's domain in some time. Okay. Um, okay, I'm not going to give you the whole article away right now. I'll wait for you guys to read it. But that's why no, Sam Altman is the founder. There's a co-founder, another guy with his name starts with an I don't know. Uh, Mahesh, hi, you're here. Maybe you know the name. Um, so let me just open the article and check what his name is. One second. It's Ilya Sutskever. I think that's what it is. But that's what he said. AI will keep getting better, and the day will come when AI will do all the things that we can do. Okay. Um, so what smart people do is when there is such a big change happening, um, and I don't know who said it, but it's a very popular saying that there is opportunity to be had both in times of, you know, prosperity and um, even war, right? So people who are smart find opportunity anywhere, and what the ability that they have is to look forward, look ahead in time, and figure out what is going to work, not today, but 4 years down the line, right? Um, and some of my ideas might be a little bit more radical. Like, I have refused to educate my son the traditional way because I'm like, by the time he grows up, none of this is going to exist. So I'm not going to waste his time trying to mug those things that, schooling still insists on. Like we still have industrial age schooling while the world is AI. Um, so yeah, some of these ideas might be um, a little radical. But what I'm trying to say in today's webinar is that now is the time for all of us to really think through one, what we're doing today and how is it going to continue to be relevant in the next 3, 4, 5 years. Okay. So I've put together a deck. I like numbers, I like stories. So I'm going to tell you some of that. Um, you see, you make your own decision, but um, I also want to, and again, some of you might know this, right? AI systems are evolving really fast, and I'll talk about it in the deck. So let me just share it. Anytime you have a question, um, just put it in the chat window, raise your hand, and we can, because I want it to be more conversational. I don't want to give you gyan. You all already know most of these things, but it's just sometimes it's good to have a conversation and figure out what we want to do next, okay? So let me share this. I hope you guys can see my screen. Okay, cool. So, and these are all my observations, okay? What I feel, I believe, I'm not saying you need to believe this also. You can do your own research, you can figure out what you think is happening. And like I said, there are both sides of every coin, right? In my belief, this is what is happening. Um, that the world of work is shrinking, okay? And there is data and statistics that show that. And if you can see in the bottom of this PPT, I've also shared where I've got these numbers from, okay? So all over the world, there are uh, definitely job cuts, okay? And people say yes, AI is taking away jobs, but it's also creating jobs, but it's not the same kind of jobs that are being created, right? Um, to give you a very real life example, my friend worked in this huge mega company who fired a lot of the people. And the reason they fired them was because these people were, so they were in the HR function, okay? And HR obviously has different roles, and these were frontline HRs. What are frontline HRs? That when you have a business unit or a team, there is an HR person who's sitting there to answer employee questions on policy, on what is going to happen, do a little bit of hand holding, stuff like that. Um, it's a very sort of transactional kind of a role. And they deployed generative AI um, chatbots on these frontline roles. Okay. And the bots were able to do the job of these HR people as good as the HR people were doing it. Um, And now they had a massive, like frontline HR is obviously the most bulkiest part of the organization because they need to be there in every business unit and to cater to all, the massive workforce. Now, all these people were suddenly irrelevant because a chatbot is doing their job much faster, much better, always on. So the question became that you have to reabsorb them into the workforce some way, right? Um, so yes, they reskill some, they upskill some, they reabsorb some. The rest they had to fire, right? Um, and that is what I'm seeing across the board. I have friends who have been told to shut down entire functions because they're just like not having the requirement for those people anymore. Um, and it is like somewhere a scary prospect, right? Um, and new jobs that are being created are very different. They're not necessarily the same skill set that these people had. Okay. So one of the examples I cite in my article is about this company that drove like their self-driven trucks, autonomous logistics trucks covered 1,200 miles across Texas, okay, with no humans on board. Yeah. What does that mean for the people who are driving the trucks, right? What are you going to upskill them to and how many? And this is where I feel, so my article also says that, this is a thing that nobody wants to say. Everybody knows it, but everybody's just giving lip service to the fact that today, if 20 people are doing a job and then you bring AI into the mix, yes, there are those three people who will use AI and do the job better. Okay. But there are those remaining 15, 16, 17 people who will not be needed because AI is doing their job. Okay. Um, so what are those people going to do? And that's why I sort of felt that today the thing we have to ask is probably what folks ask themselves when industrial revolution happened, right? Now that you don't need me to hammer that nail, you know, 8 hours every day because a machine is doing that. What do I do if I only know how to hammer that nail? Yeah. And again, not to cause panic, but this is like the disaster has not set in yet. So it's a good time to start thinking about what if it happens? What do I do next? Okay. So the numbers are here for you to see that there are 700,000 job cuts that have been up 80%. Indian startups have also been laying off, freelance gigs have dropped, and the World Economic Forum has projected a 14 million net job loss, which means there will be lesser jobs created than those that will go away, right? So basically, the traditional safety nets are a little fragile right now. And like I said, not to panic, but good time to think through. Okay. Who am I? What am I doing? How am I going to stay relevant? Okay. And this is my take that upskilling probably is not going to save you. Because how much can you upskill, right? And to what? Um, and again, some numbers that Klarna's AI assistants are doing work of 700 human agents. 1 in 4 companies have already replaced workers with ChatGPT. And again, these numbers are there. Um, so what I feel is that if you continue to compete in the same space or in the same sandbox, as we would say, then you will get outcompeted by machines. Okay. And the whole spiel we were being sold that it's okay, strategy we can still do, storytelling we can still do, um, creativity is still a human domain. It's not so true anymore, right? Um, and I'll take content writing as an example. There are those really amazing, good writers who are still, and companies, of course, are still getting projects. But the expectation is that you will use AI and you will do it for cheaper. Okay. So the same work that you were doing before on a human skill alone, companies expect you to reduce the pricing, but they're okay with AI use. Okay. Now, that obviously allows you to do more work because you're using AI, you can do it faster. But overall, you'll have to do more to reach the same level of revenue that you had. Okay. Um, so is there anything else that is going to be more relevant in this AI-driven world? Is the question I am hoping to answer somehow. So let's see what that looks like. Okay. And I feel the answer sort of lies in reinvention. Okay. Um, there is, I feel, a huge market that AI can't tap into. And I'll tell you how I got into this. So last year sometime, and I'll come to the slide in a bit. I don't want to distract you with the slide. But last year in October, I, when all this whole world war is going to happen, obviously there are like all these little wars going on across the globe. That was happening. So one day I woke up and I was like, is my business crisis proof? Okay. Um, and to be very honest, it's not, right? Whenever there are tremors in the US economy, and maybe more because I work on tech content, um, the immediate impact is on marketing budgets. right? People don't want to spend so much on marketing. They are like protecting and hedging and all of that, but marketing budgets sort of go down. Um, so I was like, okay, let's say if the whole world goes to war, then what would I end up doing? Like this is the only skill I honestly have. This is what I worked on for 20 years. Um, and I got thinking about what are those crisis-proof businesses that always exist, right? So manufacturing, of course, was one of those, and I'm like, um, and I've always been fascinated with manufacturing, so I wanted to do that. I'm just happy to say that we've incorporate our company. We are in the middle of, hopefully by the end of this year or early next year, we would have set up our manufacturing plant and done all of that. So I am in the middle of doing all of that. Um, but that got me really thinking about, because I've done knowledge work for so long, right? But are there other things that people can do to actually make a big income? And I used to have this, I still have a friend, why am I saying used to, who, so when we were younger in our early days in corporate, um, he came from a manufacturing background, and he used to always tell me that, Supriya, the money is in the nuts and bolts. Okay, you can do all of these fancy jobs, corporate careers, those big, you know, designations. But if you want to make money, you have to go where the nuts and bolts are. And I never took that seriously. But now that I've been thinking about it, I've met a lot of, people in this industry. I've, spoken to a lot of private equity folks. I've spoken to uh, a lot of, attended a lot of events. I do realize that there's this huge bucket of opportunity waiting for people to um, just tap into it, right? Of course, the challenges are different. It's a very unique space. I mean, I got schooled by a turmeric seller, but it's also interesting and exciting. So I'll update you on all that maybe sometime later. But I met so many of these entrepreneurs, so many people who are doing fantastic stuff and making a lot of money doing it. So that's why I decided I'm going to do this session and I'm going to tell you about um, what is happening. Um, the intention is not to say don't do content anymore. Don't do, I mean, still running my agency, but the intention is to say that also prepare for what if it doesn't work anymore. Okay. Because AI is learning faster than ever. Okay. The biggest thing about AI is not that what it's doing today, but it also learns exponentially, right? And that's why human upskilling really can't keep up with AI upskilling. And that's where I find that a little bit of um, challenge is going to be there for us who are a part of this freelance economy and especially knowledge work jobs. Okay, before I move forward, I saw some messages in chat. I want to take a look at those. Uh, do we have to explore the other avenues too? Like, so I'm just giving you a perspective, okay? I'm not saying just quit content writing today and move forward. That's not needed. Okay. You don't need to quit content writing today. There's still a lot of potential, still a lot of projects are coming in. But I do feel it will have an impact in the next year or 2 years. And therefore, if you want to change tracks 2 years down the line, you need to build the foundation of it today, right? You can't just jump into something new at a moment's notice. So that is the idea behind this. Okay. Um, and here, and I like somebody's point. Wait, whose point is this? Sandeep, the universal basic income, right? And this is why when I'm picking manufacturing, I've got into food, and I'm like, no matter what happens, people have to eat. Okay. So AI can't take away that aspect of it. Now, who pays for it is the question. Whether the government pays for it, whether like those 1% billionaires pay for it. But you cannot have hungry people on the planet because that is what leads to French Revolution situations, right? Where then the rich get beheaded. So nobody wants like the multitudes to be starving, and therefore food is what people will sponsor. And that's why my business is going to, my new side business is going to be food manufacturing, and hopefully in the next 3 or 4 years that I will pivot to my main business if I feel that my marketing agency is no longer relevant in a AI world. And what do I mean by relevant? For me, relevance is not, oh, I'm not getting any work, right? I'm sure even after 2, 3 years, work will continue to come for content creators, freelancers, designers, etc. For me, relevance is if I have spent X amount of time on this, what is the money I'm getting out of it, right? So, what is the value of my time? And that I feel will sort of definitely decline in the next few years, uh, just because AI will do things better, faster, cheaper, and companies will expect that to reflect in the rates that show up to them. And again, it is my personal belief, I am not pushing it on any of you, that I don't want to build a factory of 200 content writers, churn out those lots of articles with the help of AI, and then go with marginal gains there, right? Okay, that I'm making just $2,000 per article, but I'm fine because I'm doing thousands of articles. I don't want to get into that business model. So that prospect doesn't excite me, right? And it's completely 100% my opinion about my business. It may not be something that you are on board with, which is totally fine. Yeah. So you'll see a lot of disclaimers in this session. Cool. With me till here? Da-da-da. Okay. I'm just checking the chat window, okay? Will SEO be fully taken over by AI in the future? Yes. Um, so I don't know. How have you guys heard of something called agentic AI? Let me know in the chat. Have you heard of agentic AI? I can see one yes. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, so there's a good mix of yeses and nos, okay? So I'll tell you what is agentic AI and why I feel all these, like, I feel digital marketing, performance marketing, SEO, all that is not going to be very relevant going forward. Because so till now, I think most of you experience generative AI, right? Through chatbots, you interact with the chatbot in real time, you tell the chatbot something, it gives you some output, and then you go ahead and do something. It was doing, um, but the chatbot was not, the generative AI is not capable of independent action. Okay. Um, and what do I mean by that? So AI can't, like, till now, like at least till the generative AI part, it can suggest you some situations, right? It can say, okay, if you want to bid on this ad or if you want to make this article more SEO friendly, you do this. It tells you, you do that. Okay. What happens in agentic AI is a big leap where the AI, you give it all that prompt engineering, everything is gone here, okay? You give it a certain set of constraints, right? And you say, this is my goal. Here are the parameters I want you to consider. Now, within this constraint, you do what is the best to get to that goal, okay? So what the AI is doing now, and I think Meta is working on it, and they've said they'll release an agentic AI capable of doing this whole performance marketing by next year. So what that agent can do then is work with those constraints. It'll understand what is happening. It will then decide, okay, this is the best action. It'll go ahead and do the action. No human in the loop needed. Okay. Um, how does that look like in marketing context? Let me put it. So if you have multiple AI agents working in a digital marketing setup, one agent will create the ad copy. Okay. Another agent will create the ad creative, multiple, like it can create thousands in a matter of minutes, right? There will be one agent who will have those constraints built in, which will check the ad creative and the ad copy and decide which is the best for that the campaign that they want to run. Pull those, approve those. No human needed. Approved. Okay. Uh, then It will choose which channels the ad needs to go to, what is the target audience. It will choose, it will bid instead of humans optimizing it. It will optimize the bids, and it will even be able to pull money from the account and pay those bills. That entire life cycle from ad creation to delivery is automated. No human input needed, right? S- So many digital marketing agencies just do this. Okay. If AI agents are able to do it autonomously, what are the, like that whole agency is not needed, right? Then you maybe need one person or two-person to do this entirely, even for large campaigns. And that's what the world is moving towards. Okay. So uh, I was just answering this question somebody asked, right? That will SEO be fully taken over by AI in the near future? I think to us, so one is this, right? That it can do SEO on its own. And second is we've already moved to AI search. Okay. How many of us use Google now? We use AI chatbots to do a lot of search. Even Google has that AI search on top of it. So there's like a lot of flux in the market. Yeah. And this is why I'm doing this session now to sort of say, um, what is next for all of us, not just me, not just you, but where do we find our relevance? And we have a power cut. Let me, one second. Can you guys still hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Am I audible now? Okay, super. Sorry, I had a power cut and this went off. I'm just gonna start sharing screen again. One second. Okay, brilliant. I hope you guys can see my screen also again. Um, okay, I'm just quickly looking through the chat window. Cool. So, a lot of doomsday conversation, but and my sister says that about me. She's like, "You're teaching our children to like catch their food and eat it. What is this dystopian idea?" But I don't think it's very dystopian. I think it's just being like ready to face whatever comes your way. And I also feel I'm not like I don't want to praise myself a lot on this, but I feel that is one of the most important skills I have is to spot what's coming and then prepare for it. And that's what's tided me over a lot of different things, right? So so we talked about what is what's AI up to, how AI is changing the world, and especially in marketing, like how AI agents are going to impact a lot of these activities that agencies are doing a lot. Okay. um, to give you just one example, I'll just show you this. One second. uh, So I was doing this jewelry thing for my cousin, and we decided, so it's diamond jewelry, and I said, okay, let's, get a model, let's get a photographer, and we'll do some shoots so the jewelry looks nice and whatever, okay? Um, and then before we could arrange that, and like a shoot like that would probably cost a lakh or 2 lakhs for the day. I said, okay, let me see what AI does. Okay. So I just asked, I put the image of the jewelry that we had, and I asked AI to create an image, like a creative. I just put in the earring, okay, and it created this image. And for all intents and purposes, it looks super realistic. Okay. So we said, okay, we don't need to do any models or any shoot or, get somebody to edit those pictures and all of that. We can just do it on AI. And that's what we've been doing, right? So the person who was um, doing all that, not relevant anymore, right? Similarly, there are lots of things happening, which AI is definitely making a lot faster. But then all of the people who were involved in the process, only one or two people are relevant then, right? So this is exactly what I was saying before, that the mediocrity that was okay because multiple people could work together and give like a very acceptable output is gone. And if you want to stick to these kind of fields, then you have to be really, really, really good at what you do. Yeah. So now that's a question you have to ask yourself. Am I that? Or do I want to pivot and get to something that still gets me the money I need to pay my bills? Because, all of us have to pay bills. Um, so this is what I feel. Like I said, reinvention is the new resume. And I was looking at these stories of people who built businesses from ground up with minimal investments and a lot of things. I know so many of these people personally, of course, not these examples, but there are so many people who are doing this. My friends have left their super high paying corporate jobs to get into something that's more tangible, that's more, very like grounded and not really knowledge work. And, I'm thinking that in this module that I'm building, I'll bring those people to talk about how they started, what they did, how, everything came together. Okay. Um, but I just wanted to give you some examples of these people, recent, very old brands that have built their legacies, who have done it, doing very different and very interesting things. Um, in fact, okay, before I get into this, yesterday alone, I was talking to this CA, and she decided to quit her job and wanted to do something. Right now, as a CA, you would think she'll do something in finance. She's like, no, Didi, I can't get into that field again because I don't think there is much relevance left for me. There's a lot of stuff that I do that again AI can do. So I want to do something else. And she sat with me for 3 hours yesterday, and finally, after lots of permutation combinations, this, that, blah, blah, we discovered where are her roots, what she comes from, what is the network that she has access to, what are the things she can put together. And we finally, she finally decided that she probably was going to do like a luxury tea hamper kind of a business. And she's very excited about it, and I'm excited about figuring out how she's going to go about it. But it was like a great discussion, and it was great to see someone shift from what they've done for so many years and then get into something that's very new, very exciting. And I think that appeals to something in me, like the chaotic person that I am. So that was a conversation I was just having yesterday. But these are things that have existed. Like there are these nanopreneurs who are selling stuff on Meesho, WhatsApp stores, earning a lot of money. Uh, I'm sure all of us have eaten legit papad at some point in time, but it was started with just borrowed 80 rupees, obviously many, many years ago. And today it's a 1600 crore company. Um, and this guy I just found accidentally when I was doing research for myself, right? I've been doing this since October. So I've like dug everywhere. He started with 5,000 rupees in 2007, and um, now he has a 70 crore company. And he used to get 1 to 3 orders a day when he started, and today there are 5,000 orders that are coming in. Um, but these are big numbers, right? What I also wanted to point out was the story of this lady, Sudha. She has like this again, food kind of a thing. It's called Inia Organics, I think. And she started with 2,000 rupees from home. Um, Basically, sending stuff in her daughter's tiffin, and people loved it. So she started selling it, and today um, she's expanded to 25 shops in Tamil Nadu and is making 60,000 per month. Okay. And that's a choice that she has made to, you know, keep it local, keep it very uh, within where she stays. But the potential of these businesses getting disrupted by AI is minimal because they are uh, very consumption oriented businesses and things that people will continue to need. Yeah. So again, what I'm trying to say is start thinking about what else. Okay. Uh, it is possible that your current job or current freelance gig probably will not be impacted, but it's always good to be prepared for a rainy day, right? And for me, though, that survival instinct is so strong that I started this whole manufacturing thing for myself. And I also pushed my sister into starting a clinic. So she's a doctor, she's been doing her job, like, but she didn't want to see patients so much. So she went and joined this global um, conglomerate, and she's a wellness consultant and all of that, and they pay her well, and she travels all over the world. But it's also a very um, AI prone job that, it can be affected. Like companies like KPMG, BCG, their consultants are getting affected. So this is also like a place where it could be, sorry, AI can do this. Why do we need you? Maybe not today, but maybe 2 years down the line. So I pushed her into starting a clinic, and hopefully this um, September her clinic will open. Um, so yeah, I'm all about AI proofing my business. Second, yeah, for him. My internet connection seems to be a bit uh, unstable. Um, can you guys? Is it better now? Are you able to hear me? Let me know in the chat window. Let me see. I'll switch my connection again. Um, okay, is this better? I've switched my connection again. Is the video working now? Okay, brilliant. I will share the screen again. Uh, 1 second. Just sharing my screen again. Okay. So my point, and again, my opinion, is that grassroots micro businesses, which are selling real products and everyday services. Okay. So sorry, I live in a village now. So we have extra power cuts. Um, don't look at my video, just look at the screen, okay? 1 second. Okay. So what I was saying is that grassroots micro businesses, which are selling real products and everyday services, are no, it's not the camera thing, it's more like, but I'll turn it off. But it's because my power is going on and off again, so it's affecting the internet connection. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is where we are, and so that's why I have decided to build something called the Micro Business Labs. Okay. This is also going to follow the same structure of 8 weeks. And what I felt people could help. And the reason I'm doing this is because this example that I gave, right? Yesterday, somebody came over, spent 3 hours with me, and decided to do something. This has been happening more and more often, okay? And this girl had come from like very far away to come and have this conversation. So I decided that there is definitely a need where people are exploring when AI is making us irrelevant, what do I do next, right? So I decided to build something which is for people who need a income source and they're willing to put in the effort because it's not going to be like low effort. People who are fearing that their jobs might not be there anymore. If freelancers who are losing projects as clients turn to AI, people who need a flexibility of income from home, or people starting with almost no money. So it's sort of built for those folks. And what I'm trying to do is sort of spot an idea that people are willing to pay for, validate it very quickly, sell whatever you've decided to sell without, sort of burning money on ads, etc. Um, and land paying customers before you decide to scale and spend on it, and make your first quick buck and then iterate to get to a steady income, because we are still talking of this as a side hustle, right? And build emotional resilience as an entrepreneur. So basically, this is what the sessions will look like. It will be very fluid because I will take these sessions live. So it'll be conversation based. It will be depending on, like, it'll be a lot of, okay, what do you want to do? Where are your skills? Who are your customers? What is it that you are able to do without, burning yourself out, or without like really having to rethink or figure out everything again, right? So the sessions are about, what do I do now? What's working in India? What is your micro bet going to be? How do you test it, right? Within like just a week or so, how do you make your first rupee? How do you iterate, right? Like, don't sit and perfect it. How do you just launch it, run with it, and see where it goes? Um, and what if it doesn't work, right? So don't spend like a year on it and decide, no, this is not working. Build it quickly, see if it's working, not working, move on to the next thing that you feel uh, is relevant to you, right? And then how do you slowly build it to a stable income that keeps coming in every month? So those are the 8 sessions. Um, and honestly, in the last almost 8 months, I have seen a lot of these opportunities come in, and it's just like sort of waiting for the takers. Okay. Um, and we are going to talk about all of these things. And like I said, there are a lot of these micro entrepreneurs that I know who are like earning good, interesting incomes very comfortably. So I'm hoping that when we do these sessions, etc., I'll bring them on. They'll talk about their stories. These are not going to be creator economies. They're not going to be content creators or designers or SEO folks. They're going to be these people who are doing these very real, very boring businesses, but they're making good money doing it, right? So that's what the sessions are going to be like. There's not going to be any certificate because I honestly think certificates are a waste of time. Like, I don't have any certificates, but I've done pretty well for myself in life. But what you will go with is clarity. You'll have a first win or at least a system to get it. I'm putting a disclaimer right here, okay? If you don't work with me these 8 weeks, then like don't come crying that's why this didn't work, okay? You have to follow through on the process, and I can guarantee that it's going to work. And I'm going to start it on 14th of July. These will be 8 live sessions with me in person, 1 hour every week. There'll be a lot of homework for you to do, and you have to put in that effort. Come next week prepared with what happened in the last week, what have you achieved, where have you failed, where are you stuck, and we are going to address and move beyond that week on week, right? Um, I'm going to put a price tag to it just so that people are serious about it. Uh, but this is going to be a one time only kind of a thing. I don't even know if I'll do it again, but I really feel at this point in time it's needed. So the price tag is only so that you're serious about attending and don't vanish midway. Um, but if you're interested, if you think this is something that works for you, then here's a link that you can sign up on. And like I said, I'll start on 14 July, do 8 sessions, and then take a call on um, if this is something I would want to do again. But I've been very vocal about how AI is affecting things, where it's moving, and I really think this is something that people need to start thinking about. Okay, so I'm going to put the link in the chat window. You can go over the page, decide whether you want to join. But for now, I'm happy to take questions, thoughts, comments, and now you guys can also unmute yourself. So if you want to talk, um, I'm happy to listen. And I'm just going through a chat to see if there's something. Share a link in WhatsApp. Okay, I shall do that. Any questions? If I missed out something in the chat, please feel free to put that in again or unmute yourself. As beta, the program would of course evolve, but what do you have in mind? Okay, so I'm gonna do this as I launch my business. Okay, so one first thing is obviously to figure out what is it that you want to do, right? So there will be a little bit of um, context on how do you decide what are your goals, what are your skills, what could be monetizable. I'll give you some examples of businesses that other people are doing to give you some inspiration. So that'll be me talking, right? But there'll be a lot of talking from you also to understand, where you are, where you want to get to. Like, for example, yesterday's conversation, right? If the other person doesn't tell me how we arrived at the tea business was because one of our cousins was running a wholesale tea thing, right? And wholesale is less margins, right? But I was like, so that's how we evolved into this, saying, okay, if you do luxury tea hampers, you tie up with a couple of wedding kind of things, start from your own family weddings because October wedding season is going to start. Tell them, hey, and her friend just, like, for example, had her 40th birthday. She invited everybody from everywhere and gave them gifts. I was like, if you were doing luxury tea hampers, you could have told her that, hey, whatever her name is, for the 100 people that you invited for your 40th birthday party, do you want to give them luxury tea hampers? I'll give you a 10% discount. I'm doing this, right? So you can start from there. But she had to tell me that this is where, what is the background that she has. So it's going to be a lot of conversation like that. It will also be because, we are in the middle of building ourselves, right? The whole manufacturing thing, there's a trading thing, there's a clinic, there's a jewelry thing, there's lots of things going on. And I think I have a finger in every pie. So I'm getting a lot of lessons from those. They will also be shared with you. Um, and like I said, it's going to evolve as it goes, which is why it's a beta program, right? But the idea is that you pinpoint one idea, you we will give you how you go and take it to market. We'll try and give you the scripts, etc. Like, okay, do this, try this. And then from there, you see what is the feedback coming in. We'll iterate, we'll see, okay, this is not working, maybe do something else. And we'll spend a couple of weeks doing this, right? And then once we hit on the right bet for you, then we talk about, okay, how do you take it to market? How do you scale? What are some of the challenges that you can face? Supply, demand, product spoiling, people scamming, all of those things, right? So we'll talk about each and everything in that context, right? Um, so that's effectively what this is going to be. Okay. Ta-da. Will it be a product or service? You can choose to do either, right? Which is why I'm saying it's not me telling you go ahead and do this. It is we figuring out what is the best thing that you can offer. Again, someone was telling me the other day, this conversation that we were having, that one person, I don't know which company it was. So all these far away, you know, um, when people move in and move out of houses, they want somebody to come and cleanup and things like that, right? So one person made it a service. They just collected two, three folks from the local community, like, maids and sweepers and things like that. And they packaged that offering and said, if you're moving in, moving out, we will do the cleaning, etc. for you. And then they did a fantastic job of it, right? And they're very local, but they're doing a fantastic job of it. So it could be a product, it could be a service. You have to decide what can you take and operationalize. Uh, any specific opinion on product versus service? See, I've also always been a service person. I think services are easier to deliver. Products, there are definitely a lot of challenges, uh, but it depends on what is the product that you're looking at. And also, for example, do you want to do B2B or B2C? B2C is a whole different ball game. B2B in product is a whole different ball game, right? To give you another example, I just started trading. I thought before I set up my manufacturing, let me find some buyers. Okay. You must always have buyers before you actually invest in like a massive plant. So I thought I'll do trading. And within the first week of trading, somebody I knew, they reached out to me and said, I want 40,000 metric tons of rice. 40,000 tons of rice. And I'm into it 1 week. And I said, listen, so I circulated it, but I said, I can't deliver 40,000 tons. But I was just thinking, if I make 25 paisa on it in my margin per kg, that's a crore. That's 1 crore. Okay. Today, I'm having a conversation with someone who wanted 50 tons of areca nut every month. That's a conversation today. Okay. And we quoted like a bare minimum price, um, and that is coming up to 1.5 crores per month. Okay, from a revenue standpoint. Now, I don't know whether it'll go through, it'll not go through, but like I started this exactly on 8th of May and we are on 12th of June. So barely a month into it. And and what do I know about areca or pepper or I don't know, cashews, but I'm learning as I'm moving along, right? I never even knew there were like so many varieties of these things. So I wouldn't say this is good and this is not. It's like what works for you and what doesn't. It's the same thing as people ask, is entrepreneurship better or a job better? Like I would always opt for entrepreneurship, but I have friends who will never leave their job for anything at all, right? So it is totally up to what works for you and what you can pull off. Will I get a chance to work with you on freelance project? No, this is a whole different thing. I'm not even talking about content writing. This is your own business. This is not freelancing. Okay. Is the offer only till the end of the workshop? No. The offer is open. I'll start on 14th July. You can choose to join anytime before 10th of July. On 10th, I'll take a call. If there are enough people, then we'll go ahead and do it. If there are not enough people, I'll refund all that money. Okay. Uh, Okay, same question. 10th of July, you don't even have to apply. You make the payment, you will get a thank you mail. You can come and there's a WhatsApp group link you will also get. Join that group. We can start conversations now. But I'm going on a holiday tomorrow. So I will start the batch on 14th of July. Packers and movers is a great business also. Uh, do you intend to create a community? Yeah, so the WhatsApp community will continue. And like it's just like how we did the content community, it will continue. People can keep sharing ideas, people can keep engaging with each other, so that will of course be there. uh, Even if right now we have no idea about the micro business, can we still figure out through the sessions? Yes. So the initial intent is that only, right? Because what I see is, for example, I have done content for 20 years. I had to pivot. So I had to sit through what can I do? Where is the skill, right? Or where is the inclination? And what gets me going. So that's how this whole manufacturing and trading thing started. Okay. Similarly, the girl I spoke to yesterday, she's been a CA for 15 years of her life. Now she wants to do something different. So we figured, okay, this is what she can do. Another friend of mine, she works at a huge IT company. She's in HR. She's sick of her job. And she also knows it could be redundant anytime. So she wants to quit. She's right now in Chennai. She's coming back tomorrow. And she's like, I want to eat your brain on what else can I do. And I asked her, what is it that you like? She told me something. We've already made a business plan for her. So we're going to meet tomorrow and I'm going to give her more gyan. So I'm saying that everybody is looking at what else can I do. Um, so I do feel I can add value to your life in this. Uh, but also, different strokes for different folks. So you've got to make that call yourself, right? Um, but yeah, so that's all I had to say. I will share this link in the WhatsApp group also. Like somebody said, I'll also email it out in case you're interested. I will see you on 14th of July. Uh, and I hope like some of what I said made sense. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, are you not into the stock market, ma'am? You should try it out. Okay, so stock market, I feel, is like a bit of gambling, especially because I wrote a whole book on it. So I have a financial advisor who does my money management for me, and he's doing a fantastic job. So I'm not getting into stocks anytime soon. I don't want to, I don't like playing with my money. I like playing with other things that make me money. Okay, so I'm not going to touch stock markets at all. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. I think it's 9 o'clock. Most of you would have work tomorrow. So thank you and good night. Bye bye.